So we are back with Trevor Hendrikx for part two of our catch up with one of the, I think, most popular players of the new era of the Cardiff Devils. And Trevor, one of the things that have come out of lockdown, which I think is quite nice, these Zoom interviews are quite authentic. It's 10:30 at night now. You've done your coaching session. You're waiting to put the little one to bed. I'm in the shorts and t-shirt, ready to kick back and watch some hockey on YouTube. This is what the world is these days.
Yeah, I know. We seem to be on our computers quite a bit, but we're lucky we have these things that we can do this with, because if not, wouldn't be able to keep in touch with each other. And yeah, it's a bit late at night, but spare time is kind of sparse nowadays with Hunter around, so it's nice to be able to get on here and do this. So yeah, it's great.
So we left off. We talked about your pre-Devils career, a lot of success in that career, including being drafted by Columbus. We've spoke about the thorny issue of fighting in hockey, and I think you were very eloquent about that. You said you were looking for a new challenge when the offer from the Cardiff Devils came in. But what I'm always interested about is we now know the new era has kind of had a happy ending. Everything worked out, and championships have been won. But
Mhm.
kind of then, I suppose it was a little bit of a wing and a prayer. What did Andrew Lord speak to you and say to you to convince you to come and join the Cardiff project?
Well, Lordo, I had played against him when I was playing in Johnstown. Actually, he was in Wheeling, I believe, and I think we crossed paths in Oklahoma City. I think that was maybe his last year there or something. But I knew of him and played against him, so I knew kind of what to expect with him. And I spoke to him, and it was kind of a bit refreshing speaking to somebody kind of, well, the same age as me, and
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a coach who's maybe not playing or kind of out of the game a little bit. So he right away was able to kind of relate to myself, and I'm sure the other guys as well. And he just didn't draw any magical things on a piece of paper and anything like that. He just shot me straight, and I liked everything that he said, and I spoke to Franny as well, and it just seemed like there was an organization going in the right way. And like you said, though, it's a bit of a shot in the dark, because I was going off of my friend Dan Lacosta's recommendation, and that's kind of all you can do sometimes is kind of go off what you think and what your gut thinks, and I think it worked out really well, and I was very happy to have come here.
So you all get on this bus at Heathrow and then make the trip to Cardiff. Must have been an interesting experience. Did you know any of the guys on that team?
Well, the famous Brent Walton, I knew him.
Of course.
Yeah, we actually I first met Wally. It was actually both of our first year pro in Dayton, Ohio. So we were teammates then, and we kind of kept in touch over the years. And I didn't even know that he had signed here. I just, once we all signed, we kind of had a bit of an email chain going, and I noticed his name on there, and I thought, oh, geez, I'm stuck with this guy again. But um,
Everybody's
yeah,
got a Wally story, Trevor, haven't they? Everyone's got a good one. You
yeah.
must have a few in the bag.
Yeah, if you cross paths with Wally, you're guaranteed pretty much to have a story come out of it. But yeah, it was cool, because I hadn't seen him in many years, and then I got on the plane, and there he was with his wife Lisa, and the kids and everything. And last time I had seen him, he was in Dayton, and he didn't have the family yet. But things, life gets in the way sometimes, and well, not in the way, but life happens. And so yeah, it was good to see him, and it was nice to have a familiar face. But other than that, I didn't really know anybody. I knew a couple of the guys that just from playing against them in the past, but yeah, it was an interesting experience for sure. I mean, when we got on the bus, I was just overwhelmed by the fact that we're on the other side of the road. I found that a bit confusing at the start, but no, it was great. We all kind of got on right from the start, which was pretty rare for a team to do that. But that's just kind of how we were.
I was going to ask why did that team gel so well? Because you were thrown together late in the summer. It was almost a completely new team. There were some returnees amongst the Brits, particularly, but a lot of new imports coming in, a new management regime. It could have been chaos. It wasn't. It was, for a lot of people, their favorite Devil season. Why did that team gel so quickly?
There's so many factors that I guess go into that, and it probably starts with Franny and Lordo and Todd and everybody that put in a lot of time recruiting players and doing their homework and finding the right pieces to fit, and that's a very delicate thing to do, to put together a team of people that all get along and are of the same goals. So that was just a great group that was built by those guys, and we it was kind of nice in a way because we there wasn't really too many there wasn't really any big egos in that team. There was no big superstar coming in and anything like that. We were all just kind of just happy to be there, and there was no real pressure or expectation. We just loved playing together, and we went out there every night and kind of put it on the line, and nobody was better than anybody, and it seemed to really work for us, and that was probably one of the closest teams I had ever played on, for sure.
And the city of Cardiff itself, your first impressions, obviously you must like it a little bit. You're still here. How did you come to find the Welsh capital?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect, but just like I couldn't believe the fan base here, and how supportive they were and how passionate they were, and you know, playing in the East Coast League and other leagues like that in North America. Sometimes you're playing a game in front of a couple hundred people. There's not that many people at some games, depending on where you're playing. So in a sense, it kind of, rejuvenates you a little bit to come and have such a passionate fan base behind you. And it kind of revives you a little bit because, after a few years of maybe chasing the dream of trying to get called up and everything, and you kind of get stuck in a bit of a rut, and maybe your passion for the game maybe leaves you a little bit. So it was, for me anyway, it was very refreshing to come and be part of such a enthusiastic fan base and enthusiastic organization.
Doing the commentary on those games for the two seasons you played for the Devils, there was a few notable things. First off, I want to talk about kind of your partnership with Josh Batch, because Josh can play forward and defense, but spent a lot of time out on the ice with you. Seemed to grow in confidence playing with you, a younger guy, maybe with more of a veteran player. Was that a relationship and almost a mentor situation that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, I love playing with Batch. He's a great kid. He's a great player, and we'd work on things all the time, and I think our confidence grew together, and not just me and him, but him and me as well. And I tried to share some things with him and kind of help him develop as a player, and he's done really well and improved so much since then. And not to say I'm to get credit for it, but no, he was a great partner, and we had a lot of chemistry together, and it was nice to see him playing so well and still playing well.
And one of my favorite moves in hockey, which you don't see a lot of these days, is the hip check in its purest form. It's pretty cool. You were maybe the master of that, particularly in the Big Blue Tent for a couple of years.
Yeah, that was kind of my claim to fame for a while, wasn't it? But it was something I always had in my game. I liked being physical, and with the size of that rink, it kind of favored me in a way. And it was great because one little hit, it just got the whole building going. And then we had other guys like Mitchin, Dougie, and Marshy. All those guys. There were so many guys in that team that would, if one of us did it, we'd all do it. And you could just feel the momentum changing in a game when we started hitting, and it just kind of was like a tidal wave, like I had said before. It just kind of took over the game, and it was just really fun. It was just such a fun team to play on.
Like I say, we're hoping to get you on the Behind the Bench podcast, and we're hoping, I think, to reunite the whole Challenge Cup winning team from that season. But can't do an interview with you without talking about that day in Sheffield. British hockey is interesting. The league's the most important. You've got this cup competition, shortened playoffs. Must take a while to get your head round, but when you play in a one-off game like that in Sheffield, and you see all those traveling fans, and you come out on the right end of it, what are your memories of that day?
Well, obviously that was a super special day for everybody, and obviously for most of us North American players, that was a bit of a different setup for a game, like you said, a one-off. But I mean, it was such a cool way to do it, and just to see the fan bases there. Like I remember looking up across the ice and seeing all of our fans there, and then all the Sheffield fans were behind us. So it was kind of a really cool atmosphere. But I mean, that game was probably the best game we'd played all year, and it was just such a perfect. I remember listening to Wally's podcast, and I think he said something about it was a perfect game, and it literally was. Everybody played perfect and within themselves, and everybody did their job, and it was just such a great team win, and to be able to do it in front of all your fans, and people had families there, and things like that, and it was a really really special day, and for me at that point in my career, like you had touched on, I had just won a couple of championships, so that feeling was a bit fresh in my mind, and it was really cool to see a few guys that maybe hadn't won a championship before, and just to be able to see, how much it meant to them, and how much it meant to the fans as well, because the fans hadn't had a championship in a few years, so it was just a real special day all around, and just to be a part of it was a privilege.
There's always, I suppose, a close relationship between defenders and netminders. At that time, there was a lot of talk about you can't win perhaps with a British netminder. Ben Bounds had come to the Devils. He'd had a good season, but I think that game he just really grew into a title-winning netminder. Did you have any reservations or about a British netminder, and how did you find playing in front of Ben Bounds?
Well, he was amazing. My only reservation was just being able to understand him talk, but that was I think that was the same for all of us. We used to always give him a hard time about that, but no, I from the time that we had him there, like I was actually very surprised that he wasn't getting more credit than he had, because he was an amazing goalie, and you kind of see what he's done now. He's getting the credit for it, but he was just as good back then, and we were so lucky to have him, because he saved us so many nights, and without him, I don't think we win that championship for sure.
Do you remember the celebrations?
Vaguely. No, we had fun.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, we had a good time. So I think our following game after that wasn't too good. Maybe we had partied a bit too hard that night, but I think we deserved it. We we worked hard all season for that, and would have been nice to have a better showing the next game, but
the worst hangover in history. My dog's barking in the background, so excuse that if you can hear it, Trevor. But just what was it like? And not to dwell on that game, but was this something completely different? You had owners there who I guess were also on the beers after the game and enjoying it. You had this fan base who had been starved of success for quite some time, and it was a pretty raucous atmosphere. And I know hockey's a minority game in Britain, but was that game sort of something unique for you?
I actually, yeah, I mean, it was, in the sense it was a one-off, but once you got there, it had the feel of, kind of like a game 7 overtime kind of game. Like, it was just, you could just feel the pressure, whether it was, talked about or not. You could just feel it. Like you said, the owners were there, and all the fans are there, and you step on the ice and you can just hear the Cardiff fans chanting at the Sheffield fans. And it just kind of, it really makes you feel alive. And those are the games that, as a player, you live to play for, right? And if you can't get up for a game like that, then I don't know what you're doing playing hockey. And I think we had so many guys in our team were just gamers, where they would, that's when they would play their best games. And that's, that was a big reason why I think we won, is because we had so many guys in our team that would thrive in that instance. And it obviously worked, because we won that game, and it was just such an amazing experience. And thinking back on it, it's almost a bit of a blur, but it was just such a cool experience. Like I said, seeing all these guys and everybody hoisting the trophy, and seeing the fans, it was just incredible.
Yeah, I think that's Todd Kelman still his favorite memory, or one of his favorite memories, as a Cardiff Devil and Cardiff Devil GM. And people forget, Trevor, that this team of ragtags is wrong, but a team that was thrown together. Not only did you win the Challenge Cup, you were in with a shot at the league championship until the last game of the season, or perhaps the penultimate game of the season, and that game in Sheffield, and a 2-1 loss, I believe. And you really had no right to be in that race, but it just, again, speaks just how good that team was.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I don't think any of us really thought that we were going to be that good when when we started the season. I think, I'm not sure how great we started the season, but I don't think we were top of the table or anything. But I think as the season went on and towards the end of the season, we won quite a few games in a row, and we were almost unbeatable at home. And I think we got to a point where, we were all looking at the standings thinking, holy, we can actually do this. Like we're here. And then, with a group like that, a little bit of belief goes a long way. And it definitely showed in our group because, once we got a little bit of a taste of it with the Challenge Cup, like we really wanted that. And it was, it was really crushing when we didn't get it. Even though, maybe we weren't meant to have it or didn't have the best team or whatever it was. But, to kind of lose out by whatever it was a point, it was really tough for us because when you have such a good group like that, it's tough to lose because you think you should win, right? And especially after you've won one trophy, you're hungry for more. So but yeah, it was really cool to just see everybody buy in and just how close we got is pretty amazing.
So maybe just coming over to Europe for an experience, what have you, you had no reservations then of signing back and coming back to Cardiff for a second year?
No, I mean, I fell in love with the place. Just everything about it. I love the city. I love the fans. I love my teammates and everything from top to bottom. It was great. And coming back for a second year was a no brainer. And you see guys like Joey Martin, Joey Haddad. They've been here for 6, 7 years, and there's a big reason why. It's just it's such a great place to play. From the management and out everybody, it's just a great place to play, and you can tell by the caliber of players that come here and play here that it's a good place to play. So no, as for my own personal experience, it was great.
Again, I said in part one that you're a very, very talented defenseman. Physicality is obviously a part of your game, but I didn't want to just talk about that and what have you. But it would be wrong of me not to address the issue of fighting and how you always stepped up and stepped up for your teammates. You seem to have a read on when to do it for the momentum of the game. You didn't seem to take any kind of cheap fights. I'm always intrigued when I watch those documentaries about, do you think before a game about the fact you might have to fight that night and are you living on your nerves a little bit? How do you prepare yourself mentally for the fact that, on any given night you might have to go toe to toe with somebody?
Well, it is a tough dealing with that when you're someone that's kind of doing that role. Just like anything, whether you're a goal scorer or whatever, you have to prepare yourself. So, to prepare for that, you're watching a few, like for example, let's say Belfast, and they had Matt Nickerson, who I had a few goes with there. Like when we were playing them, it was usually a big game. So the night before, I'd obviously maybe do a little bit of homework, watch him, see what he does, and try to prepare myself as much as you can. And to be honest, the build up to it is the worst part. Once you're in there doing it and the fans are screaming, it's a whole different world. But the nerves that you get before it, whether you love it or you hate it, you get nerves, and it's a really cool feeling when it's all done and the fans are cheering and you can see the momentum's changed, and maybe I do some stupid guns or whatever just to get the fans going. But it was a real fun time, and not a fun job, but somebody's got to do it. And my kind of outlook was, if it's for the team and it helps us, and I'm happy to do it. And I think we had a few other guys as well that would step up when needed to, and it wasn't even something that we even questioned. It was just something, that's my teammate, I'm going to stick up for him, and that's just kind of speaks to how close we were as a team.
I know we're getting on to sort of a philosophical doctorate with my next question. I think Dr. Victoria Silverwood has written it, and this idea of the code, we used to talk about it in commentary a lot about. Do we oversell it? Does it's not written down anywhere, but in your mind, as someone who did it a lot, does this kind of mythical code when it comes to fighting exist? Are there rules? Are there kind of gentlemen's agreements about what you can and can't do?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, for the most part, the like the Cam Jansons and the guys like that, like they're very like respectable guys, and like whenever I've fought Cam, it was always a mutual thing. Hey, you want to go? Yeah, let's go. And there was no hard feelings, nothing like that. And it was just two guys doing their job. But there's the other side of it as well, where maybe there's a dirty hit and something needs to be addressed, and so there's kind of two different sides to it. But for the most part, most of those guys are pretty honorable, and we wouldn't hit somebody when they're down or anything like that. And but when you get those kind of heat of the moment fights, that's when some crazy stuff happens, because you're kind of fighting off of emotion rather than just lining up beside a guy and agreeing to go. So it's tricky, but there is a code, and not a code written down per se, but it's just kind of something that's kind of ingrained in you as a hockey player from when you're younger. I'm not sure how that's going to be now with fighting kind of going out of the game. But yeah, it's definitely something that I was taught anyways at a younger age. And I think with the way the game is going now, I'm not sure if that'll be the case anymore, but who knows?
Who knows? I won't keep you too much longer, but I am fascinated by some of the things you say, and you're a very articulate man. And one thing I wanted to ask, and I hope you don't take offense at this, but again, it's just for me getting an insight into how professional athletes work. That second season, kind of around Christmas time, Ryan Russell came in, a great player. It meant the Devils were carrying a spare import, and sort of down the stretch, I remember you had to sit out a couple of games as a healthy scratch. For you as a proud man, and that must have been a tough decision for Andrew Lord, but for you as a proud man, how is it when you kind of have to be there in the civilian clothes, but knowing you could be there on the ice?
It's very tough. I mean, it's kind of a sacrifice that you make. Playing on a good team like that, and knowing that you're carrying an extra import. You kind of look at the bigger picture and think, maybe I'm not playing this game, but I'm going to have a chance to win a championship. And Lorda was pretty good about it. And it's a very tough choice, because everybody in our team was a good player and nobody really deserved to sit out. But decisions have to be made, and it's just tough if you're a competitive person like me, and you want to be out there, especially in the big moments and the big games. And it's a very tough thing to sit back and watch, especially if the team loses, because you always feel like you could have helped or done something. So it's one of the toughest things to do is to watch on the sidelines, but it's part of the sport, and it's something that you have to do. And if you don't like it, you have to suck it up and do it. And it's a team game. It's not an individual game. So you do things like that for the group and for the team, and hopefully in the end it all pays off and you win a championship.
The flashback game this weekend the Devils are showing is the first first weekend in Ice Arena Wales, as it was then Viola Arena now, the opening night against the Belfast Giants. You said in part one that you loved the big blue tent. Maybe the smaller ice pad suited your game in terms of closing the gap and what have you. So was it mixed feelings going to the new arena?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, we kind of had our home there in the tent, and we had our banners and stuff, and it was just kind of like a very unique, unwelcoming place for a visiting team. And we went to the new rink, and everything was very white and didn't really seem very, very homey at the start. And it was such a big ice surface, much bigger than we were used to. And it was great though. It was nice to have a brand new facility, but it was definitely a bit of an adjustment getting used to the big ice and the bright lights and all the things and bells and whistles that came with it. But it's a nice rink, and I think it makes it a lot easier for the team now, because I remember when I was playing, we'd have if we had a game at home on the small ice and then we'd go to a Nottingham or a Sheffield, it's a whole different game. And especially when you're training all week on a small ice surface, and you go out into the big ice surface and it's like you're in the middle of the ocean. So it's definitely better for the team now, because they're able to be on that surface all the time. And I think it helps them in the season, definitely, by playing on the bigger ice surfaces. So
again, in a heartbreaking fashion, you missed out on the league title on the last weekend of the season. Do you think, I don't know, it's all ifs and buts, if you'd have played the whole season in the big blue tent, do you think you might have won that league title?
Of course.
There we go.
Of course. Yeah, I can say that now, right?
You can say that now. Yeah, it's there's enough years past. Yeah,
Yeah,
it must have been to come so close a second time, and we build it up so much in this British ice hockey. The league title is the thing to win. Come so close a second time when you've put 7 months of hard work into it and put your body on the line. Um, what's that feeling like to be so close but so far away?
it's horrible. I mean, it's one of the worst feelings you can have because, like you said, you put so much into it, and to just be so close and just have nothing to show for it is it's horrible. It just kind of rips your heart out. But it's a much different battle than like I said, the North American guys are used to, because you're battling for a league title. You're not kind of just pacing yourself during the season and waiting for a big playoff run. Every game's important. So, like, maybe you're up in Edinburgh one day and you're just not feeling it, and you lose. That could be the game or the points that put you over the top. So in a way, it's a bit more pressure because every game is very meaningful, and you have to be on your game at every time. But for whatever reason, I've watched the seasons not very closely, but I've kept track of the standings and stuff. And it's funny how every season there seems to be a bit of a lull at the same time every year,
Mm-hmm.
and it's part of hockey. It happens to every team every year, and you just got to hope that it happens at the right time, not at the wrong time. And I know that it's tough for the fans because they think their team should win every game, but
Yeah.
it's part of the sport, and you kind of go through these little lulls, and they end up making you stronger. And I think we actually had one in the first year as well, and then we came back and
Mm-hmm.
went on a bit of a tear. So yeah, it's an interesting sport.
Is it mentally draining in this country, Trevor, that from September onwards, every game means something?
It can be, yeah. I mean, I think more so in the bigger markets like the Cardiffs and the Sheffields and the Nottinghams, you definitely would feel a lot more pressure, and there's a lot of stuff online that might get tagged in, or a lot of opinions you have to hear about whether you want to or not,
Mm-hmm.
and it all contributes to the pressure of it, and it does kind of sometimes feel like the pressure is to win every game. And for some people that can really be tough. It's tough having that much pressure on you all the time. But I think they've obviously figured it out here in Cardiff, because they've done really well the past few years. And it's not an easy thing to do to win a league title. I can tell you that for sure. It's a very, very tough thing to do, and to be able to do it as many times as they have is pretty amazing.
Just finally, Trevor, I don't want to dwell or talk too much about you leaving the Devils, because I know a lot of fans, including myself, still miss you. But it would be remiss of me, and hopefully enough years have passed now, not to ask about that first game when Braehead came back down to Cardiff. And there was, for different reasons, there was politics, there was passion, there was Patrick Bordelot. What do you remember about that night?
Well, that wasn't a very fun night. I can remember that much. I love this place so much when I played here, and to be on the same ice again and being on the other side of it was a very weird feeling. And obviously the game didn't go as we would have liked, and there was a couple fights and a few things, and it wasn't the best night, but that's how it goes sometimes. And it was a tough night for everybody, and I wish that we would have came out on top, or made it a bit of a closer game, but sometimes that didn't happen, or doesn't happen, sorry. And yeah, it was a tough night, but we all got through it, and we're all fine now, and everything's good. So but yeah, it would have been nice to win at least. And
Yeah, I bet. Well, um, so just to conclude and kind of wrap this up, you're in Cardiff now. We talked about Hendrikx hockey. That's gone from strength to strength. You're a father now, beautiful wife, what have you. Is Cardiff home for the foreseeable future? What plans do you have? For the next when we get out of lockdown, what plans for Trevor Hendrikx going forward?
Yeah, well, if we ever do get out of lockdown, that'd be nice. But yeah, no, Cardiff's my home now, and I just live down the street from the rink, so it's very convenient for me. can just walk to the rink, which is great. But yeah, it's my home now. I'm very plugged in here, and have a few friends and family and stuff here. So it's the place I consider my home now, and we have plans to stay here for the foreseeable future. And we've talked about at some point maybe going back to Canada, but I can't predict the future, and who knows what's in store. But as of right now, things are going really well for us and our family. And our focus kind of right now is mostly on Hunter. He takes up pretty much all of our days and our nights. So nice to
Fair
have a
enough.
few minutes here to just have some peace and quiet. But
Yeah.
it's been great, and Laura's been doing well with him, and she's been off on maternity. She's a teacher, so
Yeah.
she's been able to spend a lot of time with him as well, which is great. And yeah, we're just kind of taking it day by day for now, and hopefully the restrictions get lifted soon, and can kind of get back to a bit of normality here, and get back on the ice. I think we're all dying to see some hockey.
I think we certainly are. Trevor, it was, as I said in part one, we never really got the chance to catch up when you were playing for the Devils. You didn't win enough Man of the Match awards. I don't know why. I'll talk to Todd about that. But it's been a real pleasure catching up with you now, and hopefully we'll get to do it a bit more often. But certainly just for the moment, thanks for joining us, and thanks for giving us such an insight into your time with the Cardiff Devils.
Cheers. Thanks, John, for having me, and all the best. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.